As a top-tier Kerry in the racing world, this 50-year-old veteran lives out of his RV, traveling the globe. Wherever a team needs a temporary ringer, he's there. But it's always a one-and-done deal. Win the race and vanish. This time, he's been called in for a desperation play. The team has plummeted to 7th place, and the frantic principal is just hoping this hired gun can hold their position through the night and avoid a total embarrassment. With only a few quick adjustments, he's in the cockpit for his stint. But before the announcer can even finish introducing him, he strikes with pure aggression. Using a blade-edge overtake in the corners, he slices past 2 rivals in a heartbeat, catapulting the team to 4th. The team principal knows instantly they've struck gold, but the technical director is breaking out in a cold sweat watching the telemetry.
Sonny, want to maybe pass on the straights?
Just let me drive, will ya?
Suddenly, the car ahead suffers a catastrophic engine failure, spewing thick smoke and oil everywhere. This hands Sonny another position, pushing him into the top 3. He goes on the hunt immediately, flashing his lights and hounding the car in second. When the rival refuses to budge, Sonny gets risky, attacking the inside curb at the limit to force his opponent to back off. The technical director is terrified. This is the Detroit 24-hour endurance race. There are still 10 hours left on the clock. One wrong move could end their race entirely, but Sonny, now in second, gets even bolder. He deliberately leans his car against the leading BMW. He'd heard chatter before his stint that the BMW crew was complaining about overheating brakes, so Sonny glues himself to their bumper, forcing them to maintain a suicidal pace. Approaching a chicane, Sonny slams on the anchors at the last possible millisecond, catching the BMW off guard. Unable to slow down in time for the turn, the BMW plows straight into the grass. Sonny hits his marks perfectly and takes the lead. In just a few minutes, he's flipped the script and completed his 3rd stint flawlessly. His aggressive driving style nearly starts a brawl in the pits, but Sonny, used to the drama, calmly sips his drink. He looks composed, though he's already palming a wrench just in case. Luckily, the angry rival is pulled away in time. The team secures the trophy, but Sonny won't even touch it, claiming trophies are bad luck. He takes his $5,000 prize money and heads for the exit, not even glancing at the custom Rolex winner Daytona, worth tens of thousands. While scouting his next gig, he's approached by a billionaire in a supercar. It's his old friend Ruben, now the owner of an F1 team, but the team is a disaster. They haven't cracked the top 10 in 2.5 years. Ruben is drowning in $350 million of debt, his lead driver has jumped ship, and his second driver is a total rookie. The team is currently dead last. If they don't win a Grand Prix within 3 seasons, the board can force a sale. With only 9 races left this year, Ruben needs Sonny to save the day, believing he's the only one with the grit to win. Sonny literally laughs out loud. He hasn't touched an F1 car in decades. Asking him to do this is like pulling a random guy off the street to pilot a space shuttle. Seeing Sonny unmoved, Ruben pulls out an old photo from their youth, playing the nostalgia card and reminding Sonny of the dream they once shared. But the aging racer seems to have lost his ambition. Ruben leaves a plane ticket to London, telling him to show up if he changes his mind. Undecided, Sonny asks a waitress for her take.
Well, how much are we talking?
Not about the money.
So what is it about?
Sonny has an epiphany. If the money doesn't matter, then the pure love of racing is the only thing that does. However, the situation at the APXGP team is far worse than Ruben let on. Joshua Pearce, the team's only young driver, is an arrogant brat who looks down on everyone. He's got a massive ego and a fragile psyche. He cares less about his lap times and more about his fame, spending hours with the PR department crafting his image for the press. Meanwhile, Kate, the technical director in charge of car design, is actually a former rocket engineer. She's an outsider to the sport and struggles with the car's setup, relying entirely on driver feedback. But with modern F1 cars covered in sensors, Joshua can only complain that the car feels bad, without being able to pinpoint what actually needs fixing. This leaves the tech team at a total loss. Seeing the principal's kid playing on a $150 million machine, Joshua tells Kate that a child might as well be driving it. His cold-blooded agent then gives him a reality check. If the team doesn't start winning, the owner will sell, and Joshua's career is over. Panic sets in. Just then, the principal announces to the crew that a new driver has arrived, the future of APXGP. As the words hang in the air, Sonny walks in. Seeing a man who looks his own age, the principal can't believe his eyes. When the crew realizes this veteran is there to audition for a seat, they're stunned, wondering if the owner has some weird obsession with hiring 50-year-old relics. Ignoring the cynical sneers from the crowd, Sonny doesn't say a word. He He just wants to get in the car and let his driving do the talking. Joshua, full of contempt, warns Sonny that the car's balance is off and to be careful in the corners. To shut him down, Sonny bets the team that he'll use the exact same setup as Joshua. If his lap time isn't within 1 second of Joshua's record, he'll pack his bags and leave immediately. Back in Sonny's prime, F1 cars were pure mechanical beasts without electronic aids, so he has a lot of new tech to master on the fly. During the test, Joshua, who had just set 2 purple fastest sectors, is brimming with confidence, just waiting for Sonny to make a fool of himself. Nobody believes in Sonny. During the first warm-up lap, his unfamiliarity with the car leads to a massive lockup and a slide entering a turn. However, after just 1 lap, he has the track and the car's limits figured out. The timed lap begins.
20 quid says he stacks it.
Make it 100, you're on.
Oh, shh.
Sonny goes flat out, but he's 0.193 seconds behind Joshua in the first sector, and that gap widens to 0.389 seconds in the second. In F1, where races are won in milliseconds, a deficit like that is almost impossible to claw back. Those who bet against Sonny are already reaching for their winnings, but Ruben knows you never call a race until the checkered flag drops. Sure enough, in the final sector, Sonny's pace explodes. Unfortunately, after crossing the line, he clips a curb, sending the $150 million machine spinning out of control and slamming into the wall. An ambulance is on the scene within a second, but luckily, Sonny is unhurt. The verdict? He passed the test by a razor-thin margin of 1/500th of a second. In just 2 laps, Sonny uses his vast experience and seat-of-the-pants feel to give the technical director exactly what she needs. Clear feedback that the car's issue lies with the rear wing. His performance and technical expertise silence the critics, fueling Joshua's anxiety even further. Despite this, Joshua's agent insists that winning over the media is the only way to secure his future. As Sonny officially signs with APXGP, reporters dig up his past. 30 years ago, he was hailed as a reckless prodigy, but he never claimed a major title. A horrific crash at the Spanish Grand Prix ended his F1 career. After vanishing for a decade, he resurfaced in everything from the Le Mans 24 Hours and NASCAR to the Dakar Rally. He even spent a stint as a taxi driver. At the press conference, Sonny is visibly annoyed by the reporters. Joshua, however, is in his element, soaking up questions about his new teammate.
I think it's really wonderful that Apex are giving second chances to the elderly.
When it's Sonny's turn, he faces questions about the most embarrassing moments of his past, but he remains composed, refusing to offer more than a single word. The world judges a hero by his trophies, but beneath Sonny's has-been exterior lies a heart that refuses to quit. That crash in Spain 30 years ago nearly broke every bone in his body, yet he never gave up racing. He trained every day, competed in every small-time race he could find, and mastered modern racing tech, all for one more shot at glory. Joshua, meanwhile, doesn't see Sonny as a brother in arms. He knows the only person he has a real shot at beating is his own teammate, especially since they are up against giants like Red Bull's Max Verstappen, McLaren's Lando Norris, and Mercedes' Lewis Hamilton. The first race is at the Silverstone circuit in the UK. 22 drivers from 11 teams are revving on the grid, their starting positions determined by yesterday's qualifying. Sonny and Joshua are dead last. As the clock strikes the hour, the drivers head out for the formation lap to get heat into their tires and brakes. While everyone else disappears into the distance, Sonny sits motionless. He plays the part of a confused veteran who can't handle a modern car, drawing laughs from the commentators. Joshua complains that Sonny is a liability, and Ruben looks like he's on the verge of a heart attack. Sonny finally limps off the line, but as the formation lap countdown nears 0, the paddock realizes it's a masterclass in tactics. The other drivers have been sitting on the grid waiting, their tire temps plummeting. Sonny, timing his arrival to the final second, has the perfect tire window. The 5 red lights glow and then extinguish. In an instant, Sonny rockets forward with maximum grip, slicing through the field from dead last into the mid-pack. In just the first lap, he gains 7 positions and launches an attack on Red Bull's Sergio Perez. However, the car is unstable in the dirty air of the corners, leaving no opening. His engineer tells him he's 0.9 seconds behind Perez. Inside the DRS, drag reduction system zone, where he can open his rear wing for a massive speed boost. Spotting the DRS marker, Sonny pounces and overtakes Perez. But as the Red Bull's tires come up to temperature, Sonny loses his heat advantage and can't stop Perez from retaking the position. By lap 20, the leader, Verstappen, has already lapped Joshua. Joshua's tires are shot, forcing him into the pits. In the chaos, a female mechanic fumbles the change, costing him several seconds. To make matters worse, she fails to clear the tools in time, and Joshua runs over them. A disastrous 7-second pit stop. Now Sonny pits, hoping fresh rubber will help him hold 15th place. But the jack fails, leading to a nightmare 9.22-second stop. The team is a total mess, and Sonny drops back to second to last. Languishing in last place, Joshua demands that Sonny move over for him. The whole crew sides with Joshua, but on the track, every driver's job is to fight for P1. No one is obligated to hand over a position. Sonny knows that with points out of reach, it's time to give this kid a lesson. He defends his line aggressively, forcing Joshua to earn the overtake. Their infighting is a massive disappointment for Ruben. Eventually, the two tangle and collide, mirroring the legendary rivalry between McLaren's Senna and Prost. The difference? Those legends were fighting for a world championship. These two are fighting for last place. The moment they get out of the cars, Joshua explodes, blaming everyone but himself. Seeing him berate a young female staffer, Sonny tells him to stop shifting the blame. The tension boils over, and they nearly come to blows before the principal steps in to separate them. Joshua retreats behind the scenes, still hounding Sonny, but mid-argument, the media appears. Instantly, the venomous mask drops, and he starts striking poses for the cameras.
What the hell are you smiling about, man? There's 20 other drivers still out on that track. Do you think any of them respect us? They need to learn that no one gets past us without a fight. No one.
The entire team is completely devoid of cohesion. Everyone is busy complaining, and Sonny is the only one actually looking for a solution. The root cause of this mess is the car itself. In F1, it's all about the machinery. If the car is trash, everything else is trash. Suddenly, Sonny starts grilling Ruben about the technical director. Ruben, thinking Sonny is just trying to hit on her, turns around and blabs to Kate, the tech director. When Sonny finally tracks her down, he finds her running wind tunnel tests for a new front wing meant to boost straight line speed. But that's not what Sonny wants. He's looking for stability in dirty air. He tries to pull Kate aside to talk design, but his approach almost makes her think he's actually hitting on her. Sonny stops beating around the bush. He tells her straight up that every other team on the grid can blow past them on the straights. Catching up to the legacy teams in terms of pure top speed is a pipe dream. Their only shot is a complete redesign, building a machine that can actually overtake while battling through the turbulent air in the corners. Kate just brushes him off, viewing Sonny as an arrogant wash-up who's talking big without any results to back it up. She tells him to come back and talk about car mods once he actually manages to finish a race. After getting schooled by Sonny on the track, Joshua finally starts taking his training seriously. He finds himself unconsciously watching Sonny's every move and digging into his past. During the '93 Spanish Grand Prix, Sonny spent the entire race hunting down Ayrton Senna. Back then, even the best drivers couldn't avoid being lapped by Senna, yet Sonny stayed glued to his gearbox with a genuine shot at the win. His talent was undeniable, but a high-stakes gamble to overtake Senna on the outside triggered a catastrophic crash that effectively ended his career. Ever since that wreck, Sonny became incredibly superstitious. He tucks a lucky playing card into his suit, wears mismatched lucky socks, dons a lucky number helmet, and refuses to even lay a finger on a trophy. Before the second race at the Hungarian Grand Prix, the team maps out their battle plans. Plan A is the standard procedure for an ideal start and normal rhythm. Plan B is the contingency for bad starts or unexpected safety car periods, involving adjusted pit windows. Plan C, however, stands for total chaos, improvising tactics on the fly. The red lights go out and the race is on. Hamilton leads in the Mercedes, with Verstappen right behind in the Red Bull. But before they even clear the first turn, a massive pileup breaks out and debris punctures Sonny's tire. He immediately calls for Plan C, diving into the pits and demanding soft tires. However, due to the high track temperatures, the technical director and the principal insist on sticking to the plan and fitting hards to ensure they make it to the end. Once the hard tires are bolted on, Sonny stages a silent protest, refusing to move until they give him the softs. The two sides are locked in a standoff. As the seconds tick away, the principal finally caves and swaps him onto the soft compound. Another incident brings out the safety car to bunch up the field while the track is cleared, creating an opening for a free pit stop. Joshua seizes the moment to move up to 11th. With only 4 laps remaining, Sonny finally comes in for a front wing change. He tells Joshua to nurse his tires so he can stay out longer, as Joshua has fought his way into 10th. For the first time, the team has a real shot at scoring points, but Joshua's exhausted tires have lost all grip. He's forced to pit. Sonny pulls a hat-trick move, deliberately smashing into the trackside foam markers again. The resulting debris triggers another safety car, handing his teammate a golden opportunity. As long as the crew can pull off a sub-3 second stop, Joshua can hold his position. Thanks to this scheme, APXGP finally scores its first ever point. Joshua is ecstatic, but Sonny pours cold water on the celebration, telling him that 10th place is nothing to cheer about. A reporter asks Sonny if he's worried about being banned from F1, after playing the fool at Silverstone and then turning the race into a demolition derby. Sonny, wanting no part of the interview, lays down a bet. If APXGP scores points in the next round, the reporter owes him £10. If they don't, Sonny pays out £10,000. Naturally, the reporter takes the bet. From that moment on, Sonny shuts out the media and focuses entirely on training for the next stop, Monza, Italy. Technical director Kate finally came around to Sonny's proposal and began redesigning the car to turn it into a true war machine. When it came time to talk strategy, the team principal started leaning on Sonny for input. For the past 3 weeks, the paddock had been calling Sonny reckless. Every driver on the grid was on high alert to avoid being forced off the track by him, but nobody was worried about Joshua, which meant he was their best shot at a win today. At Monza, the crafty veteran Sonny once again used his tactical genius to run interference for his teammate. He deliberately backed up the pack, blocking overtaking lanes to protect Joshua's top 10 position. Despite starting on durable hard tires, Sonny hopped on the radio after only 20 laps claiming his tires were shot and that he was boxing. This move was a feint designed to trigger a chain reaction of pit stops from other teams looking to avoid an undercut. The crew was ready, but Sonny didn't pull in. He stayed out, catching everyone off guard while the drivers behind him dove into the pit lane. But gaining a few seconds wasn't enough. Sonny needed to create an obstacle. He intentionally dipped his tires into the gravel, shredding his rubber and scattering debris across the track. This forced race control to deploy the virtual safety car, VSC, for a quick cleanup, during which all cars must reduce their speed by more than 50%. This forced every team to scrap their strategies. With his rivals' speeds heavily restricted, it was the perfect window for Sonny to pit without losing too much track position. Meanwhile, Joshua stayed out, using the chaos to climb the standings. After his stop, Sonny lingered in the pits, timed his exit perfectly to jump right in front of Verstappen. By holding up the top 3 and costing them precious time, he allowed Joshua to charge up into 4th, significantly closing the gap on the leader. On lap 46, the skies opened up. Joshua began sliding visibly on his slicks. The team calculated that P2 and P3 would play it safe and switch to intermediates, while P1 would try to stay out. Joshua decided to hold his ground and wait for Sonny's next move. Sure enough, P2 and P3 soon pitted for inters, allowing Joshua to inherit second place. With the race nearing its end, they could have secured a P2 finish by sticking with the hards, but Sonny had his eyes on the win. He decided to pit for intermediates and prepare to block Verstappen one more time. The team principal was dead set against it, fearing a disqualification for unsportsmanlike conduct. But Sonny, the ultimate gambler, turned a deaf ear. He squeezed Verstappen through the tight chicanes, slowing him down by tenths of a second. Joshua tucked in right behind Sonny, rapidly erasing the gap to the leader. Once the pace was there, Sonny immediately pulled aside for Joshua, telling him to stay patient and wait for the main straight after turn 1 to make the move on Verstappen. But the young and restless Joshua was too impatient. He tried to force the overtake the moment he caught up, and disaster struck. As flames erupted, Sonny didn't hesitate to stop and pull Joshua from the wreckage. The entire team's heart was in their throats. To even become an F1 driver requires genius, but when competing against a field of equal talent, the margin between victory and defeat comes down to training, mindset, and experience. A guaranteed win was thrown away by Joshua's ego. In the aftermath, Joshua's mother held Sonny accountable. As a mommy's boy who lost his father at a young age, Joshua refused to admit he was at fault, and the blame was shifted entirely onto Sonny. With the damage done, Sonny offered no excuses or complaints. Instead, he focused entirely on preparing for the next race. The car had finally been transformed into a war machine based on his designs, now capable of minimizing performance loss even when driving in heavy turbulence. He rallied every member of the team, reminding them that if every department can find just 0.1 seconds of improvement, it adds up to a massive lead over dozens of laps. That is the difference between being a champion and being dead last. Seeing the team become so unified and fired up during his injury absence, Joshua felt like he had been played by Sonny. Rage fueled his training as he obsessed over returning to the track for revenge. Meanwhile, Sonny, finally free from coddling Joshua's ego, pushed the new war machine to its limits. He became a scoring machine, taking 9th at Zandvoort and 7th at Suzuka, his leadership igniting a newfound grit in the entire crew. They even started a ritual of running the track together every morning in their lucky mismatched socks. At the Mexico City Grand Prix, while Perez and Leclerc tangled while hunting down Verstappen, Sonny threaded the needle through the chaos to secure a P5, the team's best finish ever. Single-handedly, Sonny transformed the team from perennial backmarkers into legitimate contenders in just a few weeks. But the better Sonny performed, the more Joshua viewed him as a threat out to steal his seat. Hate blinded him, but it also had a silver lining. He finally stopped wasting time sucking up to the media and started training like a man possessed. By the time he returned, the team was unrecognizable. Seeing the grandstands packed with fans holding up Sonny's face only made Joshua's blood boil. He was desperate to reclaim his status on a track where respect is earned, not given. The moment the lights went out, he lunged at Sonny into the first corner. Joshua felt like he'd finally vented his frustration, but to Sonny, he just looked like an idiot. If the team gets sold, a driver with zero results like Joshua will lose his F1 seat forever. Technical director Kate saw right through their rift and called them out for a game of cards. The winner gets to be the #1 driver for tomorrow's race. At the table, the gloves came off. Sonny called Joshua a childish brat who's still tied to his mother's apron strings, claiming his underdeveloped prefrontal cortex makes him incapable of assessing risk. Joshua fired back, calling Sonny an arrogant, condescending fossil. Noticing Joshua checking his phone again, Sonny gave him a piece of advice. Stop obsessing over what the world thinks and focus on the car. Fed up with the lecture, Joshua went all in on a pair of fives. Sonny folded instantly, and a hyped-up Joshua ran off to party with his agent. But when the whole cards were revealed, Kate was completely floored by Sonny. Humoring a child's vanity is the ultimate power move of a superior competitor. Sonny didn't care about the hand because he doesn't even view Joshua as a rival. He's a Sigma male focused solely on the objective. Late that night, a girl approached Joshua at the club. He expected her to ask for an autograph, but she actually wanted an intro to the Ferrari drivers. Sonny's words finally hit home. An athlete without results is just a clown in front of a camera, devoid of real respect or love. He walked out, choosing to go home and rest so he could face tomorrow's race in peak condition. Sonny opened up to Kate about why he joined the team. 30 years ago, as a young man, he was wheel to wheel with legends like Senna, Prost, and Mansell, convinced he was the next king of racing. That crash cost him everything: the money, the fame, and his sanity, turning him into a bitter, angry jerk. It took 10 years for him to realize what he truly lost was the love of racing. He started over, not for trophies or vanity, but for that feeling of control over destiny when his hands are on the wheel. Just as things were getting intimate, the boss knocked on Kate's door looking for Sonny. The FIA had received an anonymous tip. APXGP's upgraded chassis was in serious violation. The tip claimed parts were developed outside their official factory, supported by leaked internal documents. Their car is now under audit, meaning they must revert to the old, uncompetitive specs or face disqualification. The boss was livid, and Sonny, seeing his championship hopes evaporate, hit a breaking point. It was an obvious frame job using forged documents, and the team was in an uproar. On the Las Vegas Strip, Sonny reached into his pocket only to realize he'd forgotten his lucky playing card. Panic mixed with pure rage, and he started the race driving like a man with a suicide wish. The boss could see the fury in his telemetry. Driving that way is a recipe for disaster. Sure enough, Sonny pushed the inferior car to its absolute breaking point using masterclass control. But just as he was about to crack the top 3, the car snapped in a corner, sending him airborne into the barriers. It was only after seeing Sonny's medical report that Ruben realized the truth. Sonny had been hiding a catastrophic injury. He was one wrong move away from total paralysis. With a fractured cervical spine, a broken thoracic vertebra, and a bruised spinal cord, another high-impact collision wouldn't just end his career. It could leave him blind or dead. To keep Sonny from dying on the track, Ruben fired him on the spot. No matter how bitter the defeat, they had to face reality. Outside the office, Joshua overheard everything. He finally realized that Sonny hadn't come here to steal his job. He was there to save it. Joshua dove into the telemetry from the Monza race, running the crash scenario in the simulator over and over. Every time he ignored Sonny and tried to overtake early, it ended in disaster. Finally, he followed Sonny's instructions, making the move on the straight after the corner, and realized Sonny was right. It was his only real shot at the win. Just as Sonny was preparing to leave, a bored investor cornered him. It turned out the plan all along was for Ruben to be forced into a fire sale so this investor could scoop up the team for pennies on the dollar. But Sonny's arrival had wrecked that plan. Sonny had boosted the team's image so much that buyers were now lining up. The investor offered Sonny a deal. Once he took over, Sonny could join as the technical director or even team principal. It was a chance to make a fortune and finally fulfill his dream of a championship next year. Sonny realized then that the anonymous tip to the FIA had come from this very board member. Without Sonny, Joshua stopped listening to third-rate agents and stopped trying to please the media. He finally understood Sonny's mantra: everything else is just noise. He began adopting Sonny's habits, leading the team in their morning runs and injecting a spark of life back into a squad drowning in despair. Seeing the kid change, Ruben felt a glimmer of hope. Sonny's efforts hadn't been in vain. Just as Ruben was about to accept the team's fate, Sonny arrived from Las Vegas to lead one last desperate charge. He had his lawyers draft a liability waiver, giving up all rights to sue Ruben or the team if he were injured or killed on track. Since Ruben still owed him his final paycheck, he argued he couldn't be unilaterally fired. The FIA also confirmed the whistleblowing documents were forgeries, allowing them to switch back to the upgraded war machine. Despite his fears, Ruben couldn't refuse Sonny's grit and allowed him back in the seat. But just before heading out, Sonny's back injury triggered another bout of vertigo. The investor watched from the sidelines, panicking as news of the last-minute driver swap broke. After a cold exchange of looks, Sonny sent him a mocking emoji. The reporter who had bet against Sonny showed up again to gloat, but Sonny didn't say a word. Instead, he simply handed the man 10,000 pounds. He'd lost the bet, and he paid up. Even the reporter was stunned. Sonny the gambler was as real as they come. Drivers to their marks, lights out, and away they go. Under Sonny's mentorship, Joshua had matured. He nailed the start and claimed a strong position early. Sonny, however, was struggling with his injuries. A minor tap from a car behind sent him into a brief moment of blurred vision. By the end of lap 1, Sonny was in P16, while Joshua had climbed to P9. By lap 11, Red Bull, Mercedes, and Ferrari were leading the pack, with APXGP holding steady in the midfield. Joshua was 15 seconds off the lead. Sonny told him to maintain a 20-second gap, exactly the time needed for a pit stop, so they could stagger their stops and avoid the pit lane traffic jam. Suddenly, Magnussen, who already had a grudge against Sonny, rammed into him, blowing Sonny's rear tire and forcing an early stop. The crew jumped into their legendary Plan C. The two teammates began working in tandem, running 1-2 to suppress the pace of the leading group. By lap 25, the rest of the field had pitted, while Joshua, who stayed out, inherited the lead. He held up the front runners to give Sonny a chance to gain ground. On the straight, Sonny activated his DRS and sliced his way up to P15. Joshua, struggling on heavily worn tires, was eventually overtaken by Verstappen and then Leclerc, dropping him to P3. His tires were at the absolute limit, and his pit stop dropped him back to P6, leaving him to look for an opening in the second half. The three leaders were still on hard tires and would need to box again. Sonny seized the time difference to make his move. When Ferrari botched a stop at 5.8 seconds, Sonny hammered the throttle to claw back half a second. He exited the pits just as Carlos Sainz was coming out, cutting him off perfectly. Sainz tried an inside move, but carried too much speed, locking his tires and handing the position to Sonny. By lap 38, the team was surging. Joshua was in P3 and Sonny in P4. With the final pit window open, this was APXGP's best shot at glory. After Hamilton and Leclerc boxed, Joshua stayed out, sprinting to reclaim the lead before they could exit the pits. But with fresh rubber, the pursuers had a massive grip advantage. Joshua was a sitting duck. With only 4 laps to go, both APXGP cars were on dead tires. Improvement seemed impossible. Hamilton made his move, overtaking Joshua in the corners, followed closely by Leclerc. The team principal can only watch as the championship slips through his fingers, while the investor finally breathes a sigh of relief. George Russell, sitting in 5th, launches an attack. Sonny tries to defend his line, but he clips the curb and loses control, spinning out and slamming into the wall yet again. The investor, who clearly doesn't understand race tactics, starts celebrating premature victory, but Ruben's eyes are glowing. The barrier is severely damaged, and race control has no choice but to wave the red flag. The race is suspended, and all drivers must return to the pit lane. While the teams inspect the cars, the stewards are reviewing the footage of Sonny's crash to determine if it was a deliberate foul. If they rule it an intentional wreck, he'll be disqualified. Sonny knows he didn't do it on purpose, but some people are calling for a strict investigation. After all, he's got a reputation. The silver lining? Since APXGP failed to make the top 10 in qualifying, they have a brand new set of soft tires left, which offer maximum grip for a sprint finish. Now, the crew has a grueling 10-minute window to repair Sonny's car so he can restart. It's the ultimate test of teamwork. No one knows if they'll make the clock. The lead mechanic jumps into the fray himself. Ruben tells Sonny to stay calm, to leave his fate to the gods of racing as he once did, and to believe in miracles. Sonny is visibly tense, terrified he'll miss the restart, so he quickly goes over the final tactics with Joshua, telling the kid to give it everything he's got. The mechanics pull off a miracle and finish the repairs with time to spare. Sonny has 10 minutes of fight left in him. As the race restarts, the field completes another formation lap and grids up according to the standings before the suspension. The stewards rule the crash a racing incident, and the investigation is dropped, letting the team breathe again. This is Sonny's rebirth and the team's final shot at glory. Mercedes and Ferrari have the track position, but APXGP has the tire advantage. The final 3-lap sprint is pure adrenaline. Every driver is at their absolute limit. Sonny, positioned right behind Joshua, tells the kid to stay glued to his gearbox. Sonny creates an opening for Joshua to overtake, then acts as a decoy to bait the rivals, allowing Joshua to slice through into second. Sonny then sweeps around the outside to take third, a flawless display of teamwork. Now, they are hunting down Hamilton in P1. Neither of them dares to make the move yet, because whoever attacks first will be blocked by Hamilton, sacrificing their momentum. In the end, Sonny chooses to be the sacrifice, providing the most iconic footage of the season finale. But Hamilton, a 7-time world champion, is a master of the one-on-two defense. He counterattacks Sonny, sending him into a 360-degree spin. Hamilton then hunts down Joshua in the lead, pulling alongside and waiting for a mistake. Suddenly, yellow flags wave. There's a hazard on the track, meaning no overtaking and reduced speed. 2 other cars have collided and retired, and in the shuffle, Sonny finds himself back in P1. He finally feels that sensation of flying once again. Sonny has done it. He secured the win for the team, marking his first ever Grand Prix victory. Because of this win, Ruben gets to keep his job as team principal for another 3 years. The investors' hostile takeover plan officially failed. Joshua no longer has to worry about his career. He's proven his worth with a world-class performance. True to his superstition, Sonny won't touch the trophy, instead presenting it to Ruben. After the celebrations, Sonny returns to his room alone. At over 50 years old, he has finally fulfilled the dream he started 30 years ago. Other teams are already reaching out to Joshua with offers, but he's finally found the meaning of team. He made APXGP, and APXGP made him. Sonny doesn't linger for the goodbyes. While the party is still raging, he packs his bags. No one knows where he's headed, only that he's off to conquer the next arena. After leaving APXGP, he's back in his RV, heading deep into the desert for the Baja 1000. When he meets the crew looking for a ringer, they ask him that same classic question.
We can't pay much.
Not about the money.
So what is it about?
This is, in my opinion, the best movie of 2025. Beyond the jaw-dropping realism of the F1 cars and drivers, it's Sonny's spirit that carries the film. Never give up hope until the very last second, because miracles happen. Don't worry about the noise from the outside world. If you want to know what really matters, it's finding your own rhythm and relentlessly chasing the values that bring you fulfillment. Leave your thoughts in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one.